Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast number 13. This is Pretty Good Gaming. My name's Gareth Evans, and this is Henry Cooper. Someone said last week that was one of the annoying intros ever.
You're going to have to do it forever now.
I tend to agree. It is quite annoying. But you guys are still here.
You do it. It's your choice. You can stop.
It's a creative decision. And if you don't like my creative
don't like it,
then don't ask me to change. Just because you can't handle it. Just because you can't
accessible. It's not accessible to me. It's too loud.
Oh, right. Okay, so there you go. There's your intro for today.
That's the fucking segue, right?
And funnily enough, we will be talking about Sekiro and the accessibility argument in meme fashion very soon, because that's one of our first talking points. We're going to be talking about Resident Evil 2 and DLC within it, and also about Cities Skylines, your favourite city simulation game, or mine at least. And then we're going to be taking the questions from the Discord, as well as reading some of the best YouTube comments from this last week. If we can say that any of them are the best.
If
we can find any good ones. So that's what the running order for today's podcast is. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for sticking through that intro, because I know how annoying it can be.
Okay.
So this is the podcast, so we're going to be talking about things at length, and if you don't like any of the topics that we're discussing, you can head down to the description of the video and check out the timestamps where you can just jump to the part that you do like and stop whinging about our creative decisions, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, some people really complain. It's like, oh, these are too long. I missed the short videos. Like, well, that's why it's a podcast.
Yeah,
it's a long conversation about different things.
Yeah, you just can't account for stupidity on the internet, can you? You just can't. You can't respond to all of those people saying, "Listen, dude, this is a podcast." Because if you did that, right, you would just wear yourself. You'd have no energy left for anything else. Because there's so many of them.
Accessibility for disabilities, yeah, nice. Accessibility for idiots, get fucked.
Yeah, get out of it. Get out of it. Anyway, we've got to talk about accessibility, or a meme surrounding the accessibility issue with Sekiro, right? So, would you like to introduce what it is that we're talking about?
Okay, so a journalist for PC Gamer by the name of James Davenport wrote a rather controversial article on PC Gamer titled, "I beat Sekiro's final boss with cheats and I feel fine." So that's kind of about the general disdain for people who cheat in games.
Well, it's what you'd expect. He's a journalist, right? He's a reporter.
Yeah, because journalists can't play games.
Yeah, because he's shit.
I mean,
that's a given.
If there's no easy mode, I'm going to have to cheat.
What would you expect from him? I mean, where's the outrage here?
So, I mean, if you're playing a game and you cheat, that's probably not very good.
But he feels fine about it.
But he's fine. He's
so
not ashamed.
All right with it, right?
Who really gives a shit?
I read the article and he enjoyed it, right? What he did, he just slowed it down.
With a mod on PC.
There's this mod that slows it down, which I am yet to check out, by the way, because I probably
should. It's a cheat.
I said, I'm glad I got it on PC because I can eventually go in the Steam Workshop and find the cheat that I need to get some enjoyment out of the game. And why not? If he's enjoying the game, apparently he played the whole thing, got to the final boss, and it was only the final boss. I'm not going to spoil it, how it pans out, but it was only in the final boss where he used this cheat to slow it down in order to get through it, rather than spend the hours and hours and hours that it would have taken him to do it. So, I mean, what's wrong with that, right? You might ask, right, this guy is in a single-player game. It's not affecting anybody else. There's no issue with that. He's got his enjoyment from the game. He feels fine, right?
He's owning it.
He's not burdened by the shame.
Shame.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't called to commit seppuku or whatever, you know what I mean? There wasn't that level of shame at all. In fact, there was none. He feels fine with it.
Well, some guy...
More power to you, James.
Yeah. Some guy on Twitter thought that he should be ashamed.
This is
quite
beautiful.
Profoundly. A lot of people were giving this James Davenport guy a bit of shit and just oh, you crap, you need to get good and all that, you know. Well, I heard it all before, but this guy he got really, really high up.
It's
on
almost
his
poetry.
eyeballs.
This is almost poetry.
So this is from Fetusberry. Fetusberry, that's a lovely, pleasant image. You cheated not only the game, but yourself. You didn't grow, you didn't improve, you took a shortcut and gained nothing. You experienced a hollow victory. Nothing was risked and nothing was gained. It's sad that you don't know the difference. Like,
that is a peach.
That is passion. And it does sound like he thinks of himself as a noble samurai warrior. It's like you're having a duel and one guy throws sand in the other guy's face. It's like, you have dishonored your house and your family, and we'll fucking just kill him. Yeah, this guy's really not happy.
He's serious.
Yeah.
He's serious about it, right?
And his tweet really took off. There's 6,204 retweets at the time of recording and 23,596 likes.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of traction. And he's not like a industry figure or anything. He's just a guy.
I'm just reading the replies, right? Obviously, people are like, it's calm down, it's just a game. And, I think he's leaning into this now because he's been turned into a meme and people have used it. We'll talk about that in a second, right? But he's replied to his own tweet there and he says, calm down. It's a single player game. Why does it matter? So he's mimicking what people are replying to him. And he says, save that shit for someone who cares. I think he's just poking the hornet's nest in there because people have reacted against him. Because obviously a lot of these retweets and likes and stuff are people just realizing that it's so absurd it verges on the hilarious, which is what it is, right? Because if it's absurd enough, it's hilarious. And I think this fits that description.
Oh, man. There are so many just quality memes about it. So any game with, just anything, but there's pretty much any game there, they've essentially superimposed that language on top. So there's one which was published by the official Sega Twitter feed, the official page of the publisher and studio and all that. They sent out one from, I think, the original Sonic the Hedgehog. And he's running along, and then he does a glitch to clip through the level and get straight to the end without having to go through all the loops and jump over the spikes and get the rings and everything. And then instead of coming up saying stage clear, like you've done it comes up with all of the text saying, you cheated the game and yourself and all that. Yeah. And it's so
you cheated not only the game but yourself. It's such a scathing bunch of words, right? But it's done from a proper serious tone, right?
Yeah,
you cheated not only the game but yourself. What I want to hear is people doing dramatic readings of this, like Samuel L. Jackson thing or something.
Oh man, get him in.
You didn't grow, you didn't improve, you took a shortcut and gained nothing. You experienced a hollow victory. Nothing was risked and nothing was gained. And it's sad that you don't know the difference.
Because it's really so it's like a parent when they're not angry, they're disappointed. Because this isn't angry.
It's the tone of it.
Yeah, it's so. It's disgust.
It's sad. It's sad that you don't know the difference.
You're pathetic.
Just
look at you, James Davenport of PC Gamer. Oh, bloody hell, it was so funny. There was so many games in the thing of the meme of it. There was Mario 64 where he jumped in a cannon and shot himself to the thing, and then a Koopa Trooper starts talking to him. Instead of saying his normal dialogue, this crap comes up. There was one with Snake and Raiden from Metal Gear Solid 2 where he's got infinite ammo, because Metal Gear's quite self-aware. So he's got infinite ammo, and it's Raiden just being like, you've cheated yourself.
Not just yourself. Yeah. Not just the game.
Yeah, not just yourself. Oh man,
it's funny. Somebody's pointed out to him on 26th of March, he tweeted, playing Fallout 4 again, but this time with mods. So I'm cheating just enough. I'm actually going to try and beat the game this time. I might as well. And this guy, or woman, Iris, says, lying little hypocrite.
Oh, God.
So funny. But then he comes back with... I've just lost it now. But he came back with a tweet after that saying that he's upset with himself or something. I don't know.
There's a good one about playing Mario Kart online, and... because I don't know if you've played it, but when you play Mario Kart online, this is on Switch anyway, you can send little messages as like speech bubbles to the people in the lobby saying like, "Hi, I'm so and so." It's like, "Go easy, it's my first time." Just realised how funny that sounded. But then this guy said, "I'm using tilt controls," and then they've done that as you cheated.
Not only the game,
but I'm like,
yourself.
Using tilt controls is hard on some courses on Mario Kart, but sometimes it makes it easier because you can get those turns real tight, that level of precision.
Yeah. So long as you're playing a single-player game, right?
Oh, yeah. As long as you're not cheating and modding someone else's games, do what you like. I mean, I've already said my opinions on the whole Sekiro thing, like, you're missing the artist's vision, but ultimately I don't really give a shit.
There's a lot of people who do give a shit, and we had a discussion this week in a video that God of War director Corey Barlog said that his games will never compromise their artistic vision by having more accessibility or whatever, which again added fuel to this already burning conversation. Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't feel like... I mean, the fact that this has been turned into a meme now is good.
It's gone full circle.
It feels like people are starting to lighten up on the whole thing now.
Well, it goes from actual, like, legitimate opinions and statements to just hatred and aggression. And then the final phase is just memes. And it reduces it to nothing. It's like, once it hits memes, it's over until the next thing comes along.
I think this guy, the way that he's responding to people on Twitter and stuff, it feels like he's entering into the spirit of it. And maybe...
He's got to play the role now.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of playing the role. Maybe he doesn't stick to those words, completely. But still, he's entering into the spirit of it and fulfilling that.
Well, I love that his full... So his Twitter handle is @Fetusberry, but then his username bit is Fetusberry ass bastard crunch. Fetusberry ass bastard crunch. That's... I mean, I definitely think you're behaving like a bit of a bastard to some of these people.
Ass bastard. Yeah, it's an opinion. He's entitled to his opinion. The the one exception that I saw was raised by the Game Informer reporter. I can't remember what his name was.
I think it was Imran Khan. Imran Khan.
But he was saying, he went serious with it again. He was saying that people like this Jonathan dude, was it Jonathan who wrote the article originally? He had been targeted by harassment and people being toxic towards him just because of the article, and it's tweets like this that promote that type of sentiment, which, I mean, you can't blame this guy. If he hasn't been toxic and harassed the reporter himself, then he shouldn't be responsible for what other people have done based on his own tweet, because that's not how responsibility works, right? You're responsible for your own actions and not for all the stupid idiots in the rest of the world. But for the people who do target these reporters and harass them, grow the fuck up for one, right? Because it's just a meme, it's just a joke. And if it's not that for you, if you really think that the world is going to change, or anybody else's, or how someone else plays a game and enjoys that game is in any way important to you, then you're completely mistaken, because there's absolutely no benefit that you can get as a person or society gets as a community or whatever from one person using tweets on a single player game. There's absolutely no repercussions for that. So why don't you just focus on something that in your life which does have importance?
The original writer for the PC Gamer article, it's written very much in a way like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I had fun, and ultimately, if you're playing a game and you're not having fun, what's the point?
Yeah,
just play something else.
Yeah.
And he has had fun now.
Yeah. So I like that people can have difference of opinion online. I love that fact, right? And that's what makes it interesting. And the problem is when these people who are acting like 13-year-olds, they may well be 13-year-olds, but when they start targeting and harassing people, and like man children or women children or whatever they are, it's just adults or whatever kids who don't respect other people and don't realize that they're human beings who have to deal with, who might be affected by what they're saying and shit like that. It's like, just don't fucking bother, man. Just go back to your basement and, go and play your game or something or whatever it is that makes you feel good. Stop harassing people online. It's no good. go and do what you have to do. And that's when it starts getting sour. Other than that, memes are funny. Let's stick to the memes. Let's stick to the fun. Let's all have disagreements without getting personal. But there you go. And the fact that Sega have adopted this meme and
they're totally on board with it. Well, like, because they tweeted the Sonic the Hedgehog thing, and then like Cory Barlog and a few other industry people who had shared that opinion like retweeted it, so it got even more traction. And it's just poking fun at, not at the either side really. It's poking fun at the whole debate. It's like, oh well, this is just funny, like haha. It's stupid. Why are we really arguing?
Yeah.
Like, a debate is one thing, but having an argument and screaming at people, saying,
getting personal about it.
Yeah, it's just not fair, and you're a piece of shit if you're doing that.
Yeah, stop being a piece of shit. You piece of shit. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave that one until next time we touch on the Sekiro.
Probably next week. We've covered it like every week.
Yeah. We couldn't let the meme go without covering that, because that was genuinely really funny.
There's pages and pages of them. If you want to go find them, there's loads.
You cheated not only the game, but yourself. Classic.
So just know that Fetus Berry is shaming you.
Yeah. And me when I get my hands on those mods. So next up, we are going to talk about DLC coming to Resident Evil 2. Now, what do we have to say about that?
So I haven't really read loads into this, but I saw it come up last week, and then I read a bit more today. Well, Resident Evil 2, really good game, came out in January. And as you play through it, you unlock stuff. Like you find weapons throughout the game, and then you've got the gun. And then once you complete it, well, twice through, once you've done Claire and Leon, you get extra modes called the Fourth Survivor and the Tofu Survivor, and they're like time trials, sort of. It's a bit more than that. But now there's a DLC where you can pay to get everything unlocked immediately. You can pay, I think it's $4.99 to have everything unlocked immediately. And I feel like this should have would have rallied up a bit more of a storm, because it's a classic outrage bait for a lot of channels. But it seems to have gone a bit unnoticed.
That's because the game isn't new, right?
Yeah, and it's quite
only when people are talking about the game that these types of controversies tend to rile up the YouTubers. Like,
yeah. Well, ultimately, I don't like. It's a paid cheat code. That's the problem.
Yeah,
is that we used to get this for free. You'd put in, up, up, down, down, R2, triangle, circle, whatever, and then you unlock everything.
Yeah,
and you will have soured your victory and had a hollow victory, and you would have cheated yourself and all that.
Not just the game,
but yourself. You little fucking Sekiro dweeb. I don't really have that much to say on this one. I just think it's just a bit shit, and they've definitely been sneaky with it and been like, we'll just slip this out after the fact, and we've got all the reviews, and now people are playing it, and we're doing it as a favor for you. Now you can unlock everything.
Yeah. Under the guise of choice, right? Like, you don't have to get this. You don't have to pay us a $5. But you really do if you want that extra content. And the point of contention here is that 10, 20 years ago, even back in my early days of gaming, like this was just part of it. You do a cheat, and we've covered it a few times in the past, but it's essentially just monetizing something which it's really adds no value, right? Because you think about the amount of coding that's gone into this $5 worth of content, but on their side, it's like, oh, this is worth $5 to you. It's not worth $5 at all. It's not worth that at all. Because you've got to assume that the value of something that you're paying for is relative to the amount of work that's gone into it. That $5 is nothing. It's like the red dot thing on Call of Duty. They were selling like a red dot reticle on Call of Duty for like $1 or $2, and that is literally just a few pixels in a circle, and they're charging a premium for that. Like, if anybody in their right mind is paying for this stuff, then they really have to have a think about what you're doing. You're not letting down just the game, you're letting down yourself. I mean, it's it's ridiculous to think that anybody would believe that they're getting value for money for this. But there are people out there who don't give a fuck about money, right?
Yeah, they'll just be like,
That's the reason they do it.
I want to have everything. The thing is, you play the game, you get all this crap unlocked anyway, and it's a PS1 remake. It's quite short. Like, you play it twice, and it's probably, I don't know, maybe 15 hours for two playthroughs together. You get pretty much everything. You get all the guns you need. You get the 2 extra modes, and there's some extra costumes you can get where it's like to play it through. So through the game, you get like dirtier and dirtier. So you can play through from the beginning as you're like covered in shit, or you can play at the end looking pristine and nice or whatever. And I don't know, but I think that this might unlock some of the other DLC costumes, but I don't know for sure, because I know you can get alternate looks for Leon where he looks like a sheriff, like what's his face in The Walking Dead, Rick Grimes, like Rick in The Walking Dead or whatever. I don't know if that's part of it, but this thing literally is just a paid cheat code.
Yeah. And the thing that riles me up is the
no work to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that gets me. It's literally a cash grab, right? And the more and more prevalent this becomes, and more developers do this in their games, the more people are used to it. Eventually, a game will come along, and they stand out. The ones that don't charge for all this additional stuff, and then when you get like a bigger, better package, and it's in a better state than anything else, then they're the games that get credited. They get a lot of credit for that, and I think that hopefully eventually developers will buck the trend of this shady, cheap cash grab, and realize that there's extra value in getting your player base on side and looking after your players, really, and
stop hiding behind it's a choice, because if you really wanted it to be a choice, you'd put it there for free.
No, exactly. Like, there's no choice if I haven't got $5. Yeah. You've got no choice. Oh dear. Anyway,
so
that was that one, and that was just
not
another
really
brief one.
say.
And before we move on to the questions later on, firstly, the announcement that next week's podcast will have to be postponed for the simple reason that there just isn't enough sun in the UK. That's the fact. And so in order, I mean, it's on a personal level, it's just like I just can't operate without getting enough sun.
Is this why you've got the sunset on your shirt?
I'm in a very bright t-shirt.
We're actually wearing loads of makeup to make us show up on the
Look at my pasty skin, right? I need to sort this out. So basically, what I'm trying to say is I'm on holiday next week, so there's no podcast, right?
Easy sod.
Yeah. So with a view to being on the beach somewhere sunning myself, because I mean I'm doing it for you guys. I don't want you to be put off by my pale, complexion.
I don't want to sit there and have sun cream massaged into me in the middle of the Canary Islands or wherever the hell it is.
Nobody was offering that.
Well,
I mean,
those Spanish maids need to earn that $4 to pay for the Resident Evil thing.
Microtransaction. Yeah. So I'm doing it for you guys, really, because I'm only thinking about your how you see this channel and your visual interpretation of how healthy you are, for one. Like, unless you get enough sun, you just look like a skeleton or something. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm doing it, so that you guys don't feel nauseous or whatever looking at my pasty white skin. So, with that in mind, all that build up, I've been investing in some Nintendo Switch games to go away with, and I've re-downloaded Skyrim. So I've got a playthrough of that ready to go. I'm just at the when you get called, the Dragonborn gets called by the white beards or whatever they're called. What are they called? The guys on the mountain. Yeah. So I'm just at that point where I've just met them, and they're like, "Yeah, you're a Dragonborn," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's that mean?" And anyway,
we'll give you this magic shout which stops the wind.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like the idea of the dragon language being the magic, but I'm like, that's really clutching at straws. Just like, we need to put a gameplay barrier. Let's just, here you go, you can get through it now.
Yeah, that's
but
it.
Anyway,
there's too much wind to get through here.
Yeah.
Never mind you've been killing dragons. You're not that strong. You can't get through this wind.
So I'll say a couple of words and the wind is gone.
So, Yeah, I'm back on Skyrim, and I played it through year before. When did Skyrim come out on a Switch? I really, really enjoyed my time with Skyrim. Since it launched, I played it through kind of once, and then I'd left it. And then a couple of years ago, I picked up Skyrim again and played it on the Switch. Although it's just the vanilla version, and I think you'll find that you don't get mods, and the vanilla version is trash.
But if you're modding the game, you're letting yourself down, and not just the game.
I'm letting myself down. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you mod it if you like. But
this is going to be run through over and over again.
Yeah, even though it is the vanilla version, I still enjoy it. Screw you, I don't care what you think. I think I like the gameplay loop of going out and adventuring. I don't follow the quest the whole time. Go out adventuring, killing, exploring dungeons and clearing them all out and getting all the loot and then going back and cashing them in and stuff like that. There's something fundamentally rewarding to me about that gameplay loop. So that is one game that's ready to go. And the other game ready to go, which I downloaded a couple of days ago, is City Skylines, you might have guessed, because I told you that earlier. City Skylines has been ported to the Switch. Now, for those of you who don't know what City Skylines is, it is a city builder game, kind of like SimCity or Simpsons Tapped Out, right?
Yeah. He said he was trying to think of the name earlier, and he was like, "Oh, it's the best city builder game ever." I was like, "Oh, well, The Sims." No, it's not the bloody Sims. I was like, "Oh, Simpsons Tapped Out." The microtransaction minefield that is Simpsons Tapped Out.
Yeah, that's it's not quite that bad. For those of you who've played City Skylines or seen it, or if you haven't played it at all, it is the best city building game ever. Full stop. It's just that good, right? And you can not just take my word for it. You look anywhere. The original PC version I'm talking about now, right? So the question mark over the PC version coming to Switch is it going to be the full version of the game? Is it just how is the performance going to be? Because the Switch hardware is obviously scaled. It's not the same as the PC. You have to make concessions somewhere. The answers to those questions are that it is the full PC version of the game with 2 of the expansions. There's loads of expansions on the PC, as well as there's loads of mods which can extend your life playing the game. So there's a reasonable amount of content. It's not just the vanilla; it's got a couple of expansions in it. But the other question is the performance and how it looks. Now it is scaled down in terms of resolution. It's not clean. It's a little bit fuzzy sometimes. And from what I've read, I've only played a few hours of it so far, the performance does start to stutter in the later stages when you've got a big city and when you're zoomed right in. But if you can overcome that, if you don't play it like in zoomed in that often, and you can totally have a decent experience with it. And I just like the mix of gameplay that's in this game, because you're creating this city, right? So it is ultimately a creative experience, but also there's the challenge of problem solving, and the problems when you're building the city come in the form of like traffic jams and congestion and things like that during like rush hours, where your streets can get totally like blocked, like arteries or whatever. If you haven't set up your traffic system in a reasonable way, it can all proper screw you over, and your city can really suffer from it as a consequence. And there's things like setting up enough garbage things and making sure your people are educated, putting enough schools, emergency services, all these like regular problems. It's not like SimCity where you can get a UFO come in and a natural disaster, things like that. There's none of that. It's a more authentic type of experience where it's actually a simulation game and not a fantastical type of thing. And I just like that balance of gameplay, and it can be really, really chilled out, because you can craft a beautiful city with loads of character. So I find that mix of gameplay, the creative and the challenging, it's really good. It's really good for those of you who are in the lookout for or do like these types of simulation games where you're just building stuff up. I think from my experience with the Switch, it could be really, really enjoyable. And what they've done with the Switch version, they've not just ported it, they've changed the control mechanic as well, because obviously mouse and keyboard is a lot easier to control than the controllers on the Switch, but they've changed the interface so it's easy with all the buttons, and it feels really natural to be able to do it. And sometimes you you try and curve the roads if you're laying out a road network. You want to try and curve the roads into like a nice pattern to make this very distinct district or whatever. And you'd think it'd be difficult with like thumbsticks, but it works really well.
Awesome.
I found it really good.
Can you make a town in the shape of a dick?
You could make a town in the shape of a dick.
Well, there you go. That's me sold.
Have you? I mean, you know,
make a whole body.
You could make whatever you want. You can make whatever you want. It's
two
very
dicks.
versatile. You could have dicks fighting. You could have two dicks bashing each other.
Oh wow!
I mean, I know that excites you in ways that would have other people scratching their heads. But there you go. It's one of those experiences. It's one of those games where you feel like there's no limits to you. Whatever you think you can do, you can probably do it because it's so in depth as well. I mean, it starts off really slow. If you think, I don't like these types of sim games because they throw too much at you. Now, the City Skylines is one of them ones that starts you off really slowly. The tutorial mode is so good, and it just drip feeds you these mechanics. It starts off slowly with you just learn to do basic roads, and then you learn about power and water supplying your buildings with all them things. And then you learn about commercial buildings, so you making workplaces for your people to go to, so they can earn money and stuff. And then there's industrial zones. So there's all these different zones, and there's the knock-on effect that if you build up a huge industrial zone next to a residential area, all the sound pollution and waste pollution will affect the happiness of the people living in the adjacent houses and stuff like that. So you've got to really plan it out and think it really carefully. And I don't know. There's a lot of really what's the word? Really great gameplay in there. Rewarding gameplay. So there you go. That's my plans for my holiday when I'm going to be sat on the beach.
I mean, we've said it before. We both love the Switch as a console. It's just so good.
Yeah, I like the fact that you can get that PC experience on a Switch now. I mean, they've done it with Civilization 5 as well. I'm not sure. Is it 6? Sorry. Is it Civ 6 that they put on the Switch? Where they've gone for like a proper, authentic, fully in-depth experience. And I really like that. I mean, like I said, the question mark over City Skylines was the performance in the later stages, whether it would live up to it. Yeah. And there was a lot of reviews saying that it really slowed down to an average of like 20 frames per second if you were zoomed in towards the end game. But it really won't bother me that much because as nice as it is, I don't play the game to zoom in and fly over the streets at a very micro level. Yeah, I'm a city planner, and I plan the cities and make sure
the bigger picture.
Yeah, so I don't play a lot of my game in that zoomed in mode, so it probably won't affect me that much. But then again, I've not got to the end stage yet, so I'm enjoying it anyway. I'm enjoying having that Cities Skylines experience on Switch so far, and hopefully it will see me through my holiday because I'll tell you what, sitting on a beach in the sun's pretty boring, isn't it?
Oh, such a chore.
I hate, I mean, it might sound like a lot of fun to you guys, but I'm only doing it for you. Like I said, I'm only doing it for you guys to put some sun on my face, put some color in my skin. It's purely for you guys.
Such a saint.
So selfless.
It does look pretty cool, but one upcoming Switch game, I haven't got any notes for it, it just popped into my head, that I'm really quite fancying, I think it's out next week, is Katana Zero. It's I'm pretty sure it's a new indie game.
It looks good.
And it's like 2D side scroller, but it's got this really cool slow down time mechanic, and it's got like an old school 80s VHS style to it, and you go through these levels and you're killing people obviously, but then if you die, everything just rewinds and you start again. It's like, okay, let's go again. And then when you eventually do it and win, you've killed everyone, it then runs through the events, the successful run. So it's like, oh yeah, I did that at like real time. So anytime you run towards someone, slow down time, do like a backflip, chop them in half, that then happens in real time. I just think it looks super cool, super stylish.
It does look good.
So I'm really into that.
And this is a game that it looks kind of retro, and it looks like it could have been developed and made 10, 15 years ago. But with all the modern, interesting gameplay mechanic and it's actually being published on the 18th, which is a week from today.
Yeah.
Specifically, it's going to Windows, Switch, and Mac. That's it, right?
Yeah. No mainline consoles, no Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah, Windows and Switch, which is unusual, but it has been developed by Skisoft.
Yeah, I don't know who they are.
Published by Devolver, who is the who are the publishers for a lot of these indie type of games.
Yeah.
It looks great. It's something that I'm definitely going to be interested in.
Well, the Nintendo Switch is getting really good for their Switch libraries, not Switch, and indie libraries, because they've treated them really well. And in an age where people don't like Epic because it's stealing exclusivity, and people don't like Steam because it's full of crap, the Switch seems to be coming out and being, we've got a highly curated store like Epic, but we've got loads of indie games like Steam. So it seems to be taking best of both worlds for the indie scene anyway.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working really well for them.
Yeah,
some really good
so
stuff.
far.
So far.
There's a question mark over the sheer amount of games that get published on a daily basis now. For me, I think there's 3 or 4 games per day. It's not too unmanageable, but it used to, back in the early days of the Switch, when it got released a couple of years ago, you used to look on the store and maybe there's only 2-3 games a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And now they're coming on a daily basis like that. It's starting to get a little bit flooded for my liking.
Yeah, you just can't keep up.
Yeah.
At that point, you've just got to really see what you think is good.
Yeah.
Like what appeals to you.
I say, I mean, more choice is good in a way, but also it can be overwhelming.
There is too
sometimes.
much.
There is a point of saturation, oversaturation.
That's true.
But anyway, those are the thoughts on the Switch, because I do a lot of my gaming on the Switch now because it's just so much more convenient, and I just love the how versatile it is, and how, like I said, you can play Skyrim, like proper AAA games. All right, they're a few years old, whatever, and City Skylines, which is a strategy game, right, on a Switch, and I'm having that same kind of experience as I normally would on a PC, and having that versatility to be able to pull that off on a Switch. I just can't wait for the next iteration of it. I can't wait for them to upgrade it.
I just love being able to like sit on the sofa and play something like Smash Bros or Zelda, while my girlfriend's watching TV or something. It's like, it's a show I don't really care about, like a food show like MasterChef or something. I don't really care, but we can still hang out, and I'm there playing whatever.
You stick on your shit show. I don't mind.
Yeah. Oh wow, it's a pie. Awesome.
It's another pie. It's how many pies are there? I don't care. I'm smashing.
There you go.
All right, we're going to move on next to the Discord questions now. These questions come in from our Patreon supporters on our Discord channel. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, and there you can check out some of the awesome rewards that you get in return for supporting the channel. Now, I will say that without these patrons and without their support, we would not operate. It's that simple. YouTube AdSense is not enough to keep us going, and without the blessing, which is these people who support us on a daily basis, and my sincere gratitude goes out to you every single week, right? I do make a point of thanking you guys, because we really couldn't operate without you guys. It's not easy doing YouTube for a full-time thing. So, sincerest gratitude to you guys. So, one of the rewards for being a patron and supporting us, bring you the content, is you get access to the Discord, the awesome Dad Jokes channel on the Discord, which is worth the fee in itself.
We read out like one every news video, but there's normally several there.
Oh yeah,
so
there's at least
send them in, like they're quality.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a whole archive of the best dad jokes you can imagine.
Yeah, just scroll back for a couple of weeks, you'll find some gold.
There's always gold. And on that note, one of the other benefits is you get to ask us questions for this podcast, which we are going to do right now. We're going to answer some of the patrons' questions. So the first one comes from Alex, and he asks, which did you prefer, Resident Evil 2 or Spider-Man? Now, I'm going to pass this on to you, because I didn't play Resident Evil 2.
Well, this kind of came in response to, bounced off one of the ones from last week, which was about somebody asked, should they buy...
Yeah, it was Rob, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was not that Rob Lowe asking, should I buy Devil May Cry 5, Resident Evil 2, or Spider-Man? And then we talked about that. But this question, I think, came in just before we started, well, just as we started recording, so we missed it. Which game do you prefer, RE2 or Spider-Man? For me, it's no question of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed Resident Evil 2. Solid survival horror experience, super tense, beautiful graphics, the benchmark for how to reinvent a game. But Spider-Man, it's just so fun.
Yeah.
Like, swinging in Spider-Man, like, I'll often just stick it in, won't do a mission or anything, and I'll just swing. It's like I used to play, just go swinging.
Just stick it in and swing.
Stick my keys in the bowl and go swinging. So you say I'm the one with the dirty mind, but you went there.
You said it, man, not me.
Well, you interpreted it. Web swinging. But yeah, I used to play like GTA like that. I wouldn't do a mission. I'd just boot it up, get in a car and drive around. Not even kill people.
Wow.
I'd just drive.
What, are you some sort of regular person?
Rational human being? Yeah, for sure, Spider-Man. Resident Evil 2, really good. Spider-Man, just so good.
Yeah.
Just so good.
Both good games.
Yeah, that's true. They are both really good. Play them both if you can.
Yeah.
Play them both.
Next question.
Yeah, we got one from Wirelad. And
although this is a gaming podcast and a gaming Discord, this is slightly off topic, so bear with us, but I think you'll find it's worth it.
Pod question. If you let a woman fuck your ass with a strap on, is it gay?
Is it gay? Is it gay? Firstly, define gay, right? Does that make you gay? Is that what you mean? Or is it a gay act? I mean, there's two different definitions of what you mean by is it gay there. Or is it gay in a sense that, oh, you're so gay, and using it as a bit of a loose kind of insult. Because people use that, oh, don't be so gay. It's... people use it in a different way like that. So, unfortunately, you haven't defined in which sense you mean is it gay. Is it gay in the sense that it makes you homosexual?
I don't think it makes you a homosexual. Because the homosexual, it has to be someone of the same sex as you, because that's what homosexual mean. It's same and sex.
Yeah. Is it gay? I mean, it depends whether you're in the closet. It depends whether you're doing it.
Yeah, are you ashamed?
Yeah. And imagining that the person, that your wife is a dude. If you're doing it and you're in your imagination, like fantasizing about being done by a dude, then that's pretty gay. That is a gay thing, right? That
nothing
you are gay.
Nothing wrong with it. You can think like that.
Well, obviously we're not judging here. I mean, if you want your wife to strap you on,
there's a whole industry for pets. That's why strap-ons exist.
There's no judgment here, guys.
Yeah, you can do it if you want. But I think
is it gay?
Like I think it really comes down to whether or not you, like, if you do it and if you're asking your lovely wife to peg you, but you're embarrassed, if you're ashamed, that's definitely you. At least you think it's gay, or the very least you are like, oh honey, I want to try this. I'm a little bit nervous about it. Blah, blah. If you're thinking like that, you already think it's gay. But if you're like, yeah, babe, I want to try this. Like, I'm into it. It's cool. Well, then you clearly don't think it's gay. So you're on board with it.
Apparently the male G-spot is in the rectum somewhere, right?
In the old prostate
There you
gland.
Go. So, I mean, there is a case to say that a male might enjoy that without having any sort of homosexual thoughts. No. And might just, I mean, each to their own. I mean, we the reason we're talking about this is because there was a bit on a video recently where I said, to clarify, I've never been pegged up the shitter,
which is a lie, just to be clear.
How would you know? That's
well, you defended it and defended yourself just a little too much. I think if you let it fly under the radar, I mean, cool.
You can think whatever you like. My sexual perversions are none of your business.
Yeah,
and for the record, I've never been pegged up the shitter by anybody, anything.
If you want a woman fuck you up the arse with a strap on, to put it as indelicately as you did, that's cool. That's whatever happens behind your closed doors.
Okay, I think there was a discussion on the Discord to say that it's obviously gay because it's doing a gay act, but doing a gay act doesn't make you gay. Like if you're an actor and you've got to kiss a man in a part of a scene, that doesn't make you gay, right? That's doing something that people who are gay do.
Yes.
But that doesn't make you gay.
No.
It doesn't make you a gay. It isn't gay. Is it gay?
No, I don't think it is. It's not something I'm about. Stay well away
not about that.
from
not about that life.
Not about that life.
Maybe you're asking your wife to do it to you because you wanted to do it to her without the strap on, right?
This feels a bit like I'm asking for a friend. Like when you see the doctor and you're like, my friend had this.
Maybe your wife will agree for you to do it to her so long as she's allowed to do it to you. And in that case, is it worth it? I say, fuck no. There's a perfectly good hole on the other side that doesn't involve you getting pegged up the shitter, right? Why take?
There you go.
Why? Oh, I don't know. Why?
We spent so long on this question.
This is the best question. This is the best question of the week. It goes to Wire. Thanks, dude. Although it's not gaming related, let us know your thoughts down in the comments.
But it is gamer related.
Thank you, Henry.
I'm here all week.
Next up, Jason Jackson. Do you think Xbox is ever going to catch up with Sony during the next generation? Do you think the acquisition of studios will be enough? I've noticed that gaming controllers currently have a similar standard across all three major gaming giants. What do you think controllers are going to look like in the future? So there's a couple of questions here.
Yeah, there's a couple going on.
Do you think Xbox is going to catch up with Sony? Now, if you look prior to this generation, Xbox was in the lead. And the beginning of this generation, Sony took a market lead pretty early and have retained that throughout the whole generation. That's a good thing for Microsoft with the renewal of this next generation is that everyone's at the start. They're at the starting lines again, and there's no a deficit for them to make up.
Yeah.
It's all up for grabs, and anyone's game at that point.
But the interesting thing about this generation, more so than last time, because last time PS3 and Xbox were very even, and in public perception they were quite even. Just Xbox seemed to pull ahead quite naturally. But this time, when the Xbox One launched, it was a proper shit show. The whole always online, the whole TV stuff, having to have the Kinect watching you at all times, it really pushed them back. Like they started level and then took steps back and made it harder for themselves.
Yeah, shot themselves in the foot, essentially.
Yeah. So it's a bit less organic.
Do you think the acquisition of studios will be enough? I mean, I think it'll do enough to get people interested. And I think you look at this month's Game Pass. I think Game Pass is a huge seller for them now. I think Game Pass is an awesome value for money proposition.
I think I read they're meant to be launching a version of Xbox Live that comes with Game Pass. Yeah. They have announced they're going to do that, I think.
Yeah, so this month alone, right, they're adding Monster Hunter World, which was one of early part of last year's best games.
Yeah, January last year, I think.
You've got Prey, which is another great game, Bethesda published game. Who were the...
I can't remember.
It was the Uncharted dudes who made that. I can't remember the development studio off the top of my head right now. But again, another great game, as well as you've got the Resident Evil 5 and another one, which is something like Life is Strange 2, Part 2 or something like that. Just for in a single month, having all those essentially two huge AAA games from last year, or when was Prey? Year before. Those huge games in themselves are value for money. You know what I mean? And you think about all the catalogue that they've already got there, Sea of Thieves, which they're adding. Actually, it's looking pretty promising now for Sea of Thieves.
The actual content.
Finally getting to the point where it might be worth playing for more people. As well as all the other games that they've got there and stuff. I think that I don't know. I mean, PlayStation have got a big place in my heart for the exclusive games and just the amount of sheer quality games and just the average quality of each of the games that come out. If it's on, you see a Sony exclusive game, you pretty much know it's going to be great. Yeah. You pretty much know it's been given enough time, enough resources to be able to to get to a point where it's going to be pretty damn good. That on one side of the scale, and then you've got Microsoft with they're coming up with, they've got bought up Obsidian, they've got Ninja Theory, they've got all these interesting ideas for the future and value for money and things like that. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting time in the next generation for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if the acquisition of the studios is going to be enough, because I don't feel like the majority of players buy games based on who's made them. They buy it based on whether it looks good. So it comes down to whether Microsoft give these studios the tools but also stay like away enough and give them the creative control to make the good stuff. If Microsoft are super controlling and like, well, no, because we own you now, so we're going to push you in this direction, do this. That's really going to be, I think, to the detriment of the overall thing. But the studios definitely gives them plenty of options in terms of what they can do.
I feel like the whole reason that they're buying up all these extra studios is that they can diversify their portfolio, and it wouldn't make sense for them to be dictatorial in terms of what they want from every specific developer, because the idea is that they get a large range of different types of games without having to, you have to make that into a Halo game like they did in the past with Halo. I think, what was it? Halo.
I think it was Halo Wars started out as its own
something
thing,
else, and then they were like, we won't sell. It won't sell unless we stick the Halo name on it. So they had to. They were dictatorial, and I think obviously they might have changed their outlook now. I think, and personally, it makes more sense to me that that's the way they would go about it. If you're Obsidian or something, you wouldn't want to enter into this agreement with Microsoft with them still being allowed to dictate to you what you're going to create in future. I don't think that makes a lot of sense from Obsidian's point of view. So I think that part of these deals might have been that they get to retain creative control. That's just speculation on my point, but I would think that would be the natural.
And the folks over at Obsidian, I'm sure they're like aware enough of it, and they'll be like, we'd rather go with someone like Microsoft who's going to give us the freedom we need than someone who is going to, stifle them.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to compromise their artistic intention by changing their products.
And I hope the next generation is competitive, because there's nothing better for the industry and for gamers than when these companies have to come up with ways to entice you, which means better value in the better games, better value, and better standards for everybody involved, because they're all trying to get that one up the other company. So that's good, and let's hope it does turn out well. And the other question, notice that gaming controllers currently have a similar standard across all three major game genres. What do you think controllers are going to look like in the future? I don't know.
I'd love to see more stuff like the PS4 controller's trackpad, because most games don't really use it, but I think that's such an interesting tool that could be used to do like different actions and gestures and stuff. Most games, it's either just the map button, you just click it, or sometimes you can move things with it. But I've been playing the reboot of Tomb Raider, the first one, recently, and in that you can use the trackpad to like manipulate objects when you look at them in the menu, because some of the collectibles are like relics, and you pick them up and Lara says, oh, this is from an ancient tribe or whatever, and you can like manipulate it and turn it around. It's like simple things like that. I think it really, like, I don't know, it adds to an immersion, I think, because I'm actually moving it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think what you've seen throughout the history of controllers is just more buttons, and I feel like you get to a point where you might have, you've got two bumper buttons on each side now, whereas previous incarnations, you'd only have one, and you got 4 buttons here, you got 4 buttons here, and then you've got 2 sticks here. They're just adding more, and I feel like they do it on mouse and keyboard as well. Like a mice has got like side buttons and things like that. They'll get to a point where you've got like a really ergonomic, maybe even 4 bumpers. I don't know if that's
well, there'll be stuff you can do with your pinkies, like
you just squeeze it
bumpers
in.
And then
I bought the Steam controller recently, and I've been trying that out, and that doesn't have a right thumbstick. It's got like this weird kind of touchpad thing where it takes a lot of getting used to, and I don't think I'll ever get to a point where I'm going to get used to it. But it's obviously designed for to replace a mouse and keyboard, where on a screen you can move your cursor around like a mouse, and it'd be really good if I was using that primarily to play a PC game with, and I didn't have the option of a mouse and keyboard.
It's just not good.
That controller's got the underneath, you've got your grip controllers like Oculus Rift or something, you've got your grip buttons underneath the controller like this. So I do feel like, if I was to guess, I would say that more buttons would be the future.
I think there'll be more subtle innovations that no one really notices. Because I know in the Xbox controller, when they were first announcing it and showing it off, be like, oh, it can do this, this, and this. One thing that caught my eye was the way they did the triggers, because it's something like when you pull the trigger firing a bullet in the game, it'll feel one way, but when it's empty, it will feel different.
Right.
And like when you're
like the haptic feedback of
it.
Like.
And when you're driving in a racing game, it will feel different based on different speeds and all that. And I think stuff like that's really cool because you don't really notice it, but when you feel it, it's like, oh, this feels nice.
Yeah.
But you don't know why.
Yeah.
So I think little things like that.
Yeah.
And just like making it better. Like
making more ergonomic, and it's almost difficult because everyone's got different size hands, but more ergonomic, different buttons, and get rid. I don't know whether I like these, the Switch movement controls. I think that's a bit of a gimmick.
Yeah,
it doesn't really add much to gameplay for me.
I think as well, like in games, more options to rebind buttons because you can do it all the time on PC games. You can change your keyboard up. Sure. But I think rebinding stuff in console games is just better because I know in Devil May Cry 5 is my most recent one. It's a big spoiler right now, so just prepare yourself. As Nero, you press L1 and you detonate his robot arm, right? But everyone else, that's their devil trigger. But then, spoiler alert, when Nero unlocks his devil trigger, his is on the D-pads. So if I go from playing as Dante fighting devil trigger, I then do it as him and I accidentally blow up his arm and I'm I needed that. So I swapped them.
Yeah.
With most games you can't do that, but it was just an easy, there you go, switch. And now I feel like that's just the way it should have been. So key bindings for buttons.
There you go. Thanks for your question, Mr. Jason Jackson. Let's move on to the next question.
Earthworm Ben, I believe. Yes. I have a question. Do you wish there was a Steam Spy variant that could check on consoles? Owning both PC and a console, wouldn't you like to make an informed decision before what ecosystem you're going into for, say, a multiplayer game? Sony are so against crossplay, yet there's no numbers keeping me on their ecosystem as opposed to Steam's, where I can at least be confident of player numbers. Yes, having
more info,
player figures on console
to base your purchase. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense, but unfortunately they don't give you that information because obviously it's a closed system and it's their own network, so they won't. There's no third-party software or sites that can track the sort of data because it's PlayStation Network and nobody's allowed in because it's walled off. Nope. Unfortunately, that it would be great for consumers in order to make an informed decision. I mean, you think about it, right? You want to buy Call of Duty, but you've got PlayStation and Xbox, and you think, oh, where do I buy? Which
is the most popular for the lobbies?
Yeah, right. You can't make that informed decision. You don't know, where most players are playing it, so you can't make that informed decision. It's just, unfortunately, they've got the monopoly on that information, and they won't disclose it because people will spin it into YouTube videos and start mocking them. I think they're only cheating. They're not just cheating themselves. They're cheating the games too.
I think if Sony stop being pussies about crossplay and enable that, it gets rid of the problem because then everyone can play together and it'll be a nice utopia of cancerous entitled gamers.
Yeah. It'll never happen, but we would like it. And so let's move on quickly. Javartan, I have a question for once. What happened to couch co-op games? Why do they hate us having friends over to play games? They hate it. Why do they hate us having friends over to play games? I don't think they hate it so much. I mean, some developers do. I mean, Nintendo are a little bit more amenable to those types of situations, right? That's the whole one of the selling points of the Switch is that you can play with friends, right?
Yeah, their whole family-friendly vibe naturally encourages local play.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best things about the Switch is that you immediately have two controllers from the get-go. Well, I'm totally with you. Like, I'm really miss couch co-op games, not even because I have that many people to play with, to be honest, but if I want to be like, say to my girlfriend, oh, hey, do you want to play? Here's a controller, let's just do it.
Yeah.
But part of it is because if they make it so that you can only play multiplayer online, that means you have to have two copies of the game.
Yeah. I think there's more to it. I think, it's definitely part of it is that you can play online so easily these days that in order to have that a co-op experience or PvP or whatever, however you're going to play, they can do it so much easier by just making one version of a game. You don't have to do a split screen or whatever, so people can play online. It's simple. The other factor I think that people don't consider is system resources, and I think that having a split screen is easier when you've got a non-AAA game, when you've got a game which isn't
as demanding.
Because if you're having to render 2 instances or 4 instances of the same game, you think back at the old days on the N64, you had GoldenEye or whatever. Graphics were really, really
basic.
Yeah, but they weren't. Obviously, the system could handle 4 instances of that game. When it comes to something like God of War couch co-op or something, you think that system, the PS4 is literally screaming the whole way through playing that game. You couldn't do like one plays as Atreus and the other plays as a God of War. It couldn't do that because it struggles as it is to just. I mean, they do a great job, and you can hardly notice, the fact that it's all one scene over the shoulder camera angle, whatever, the whole thing. It's an achievement in itself, and what they've been able to get out of this current generation hardware is great and all. But I think a lot of it is down to system. The amount of power the system can process at once. The amount of things that it can process.
Yeah, it is a shame that more games don't have couch co-op, but it is in some games in particular, it is a necessary casualty.
You think about all the couch co-op games that there are on a system like PS4 or whatever. You've got that one from EA, which was it Get Out or
A Way Out?
A Way Out. That was very basic type of gameplay. It was a very linear game, and it had to be couch co-op, or you could play co-op over the internet, right?
Yeah, but you have to play it co-op. You can't play it with AI.
Yeah, so though it wasn't particularly demanding in terms of huge sprawling environments or whatever, and having to render loads of enemies shooting or whatever at the same time. So there's always indie games that you can play couch co-op on the PS, whatever. Lover in a Dangerous Space Time is one that springs to mind, where it's like a 2D type of nice and easy game to play. So yeah, I think that is maybe it's a lot easier for them just to make one version of the game, not have to worry about optimizing everything for 2 screens or 4 screens on the screen at the same time when they've got the internet, where people can just play together over the internet. I think
when you have got a game that is built like with co-op in mind, if they don't have local co-op, I feel like that's really just a missed opportunity. Like I can't think of any off the top of my head, to be honest. But games where like you have to play, well, you don't have to, but it's recommended in co-op. If you can't then play it with your buddy, you're really going to be missing out. But I can't think of any examples.
There you go. Let's move on to Metal Shark. Is it my turn to read? Your turn to read.
I think so. I'll have the long paragraph.
Good luck.
Right. Metal Shark. A hopefully always hypothetical question. You buy a whole load of games from a digital store, play them for over 24 hours each, and have owned them for over a year. The DRM used by that store requires the use of a launcher for the games to work. The store then changes their privacy policy, which requires your consent to continue using the launcher, and if you don't want to agree to the terms, and you don't want to agree to the terms, they're going to change it, but you don't want to agree. Let's say they added a requirement to verify yourself with a BBFC-approved age verification system, and you don't trust any of the companies the BBFC approved. Are there any consumer protection laws to either A, allow you to use the store launcher under the original terms but not buy new games, B, seek a partial/full refund, C, transfer licenses to another store, D, something else you've thought of because you're awesome?
I like that.
I don't like the question mark though. It's a question mark for the whole thing.
Because you're awesome. I'm not sure about consumer protection laws personally, and that great detail. I haven't really researched it. But it sounds like a very specific question, as usual, Mr. Metal Shark. Would they allow to use a store launcher in the original terms? What I would have thought was you can choose not to update your launcher. Because sometimes it's like, do you want to update Steam now or do you not want to? There's always the option to not update, right? Hopefully that would save a lot of people in this very specific hypothetical scenario. the fact that you don't agree with the terms, I don't know what you can do outside of, you've kind of agreed to them being able to adjust the terms in the first place, like that as part of the terms of service is that they're allowed to change the terms of service at their own will, right? So there's not much and unfortunately it's one of them things where you're never going to read all the terms and conditions, but you inevitably click it anyway, and then you waiver your right to argue when they change the terms, and you're not allowed to play your games because you won't agree to it. I don't know, it's just part of it, isn't it? It's like buyer beware, I think.
Yeah, at that point it comes down to it's either you accept it or you don't play. That's the ultimatum you're unfortunately faced with. When it comes to a refund, I don't really think you are entitled to it because you've agreed to the terms. That's part of why the terms are there. It's so that they can protect themselves in theory, but a lot of the time they put like manipulative bullshit in there.
Yeah.
But you have agreed to it, and it is your fault if you've not read them. And then if they change them, like, they have the right to do that. Yeah.
I think, hopefully, if this hypothetical scenario was to come to fruition, then there would be enough outrage caused by people who are saying, if it really is DRM and there being this battle, this awful, and they're trying to force you to use the store with these new conditions, then hopefully you've got a choice of, there's enough outrage or whatever in order. What are you looking at there?
I'm revising for the next question, and trust me, it's a good one.
You're looking at semi-naked cosplayers.
Just wait until the next question. So
you've completely distracted me now. I'm sorry,
Just wait until the next question.
Anyway, hopefully that's, we haven't got any technical information to give you outside of looking at the actual consumer protection laws, and it'll probably differ throughout every single country, but outside of that, I hope that the community would be able to mobilize enough in order to raise awareness of this type of bullshit and get people to reconsider, because controversy these days actually gets companies to do things about. Anyway, let's talk about some semi-naked cosplayers, right? Next question, DK Collie. Okay, so this week's Shag, Marry, Kill theme is Street Fighter. There we go. So, would you shag, marry, kill Cammy, Chun-Li, and Crimson Viper? And he goes on to give us his very specific answer. I'd go shag Viper, as she looks like pure filth. Marry Chun, she seems relatively normal compared to the other three. And I'd kill Cammy because beret.
Yeah, we established last week he's not fond of Jill Valentine's beret in Resi.
You'd kill it. I mean, this so we said it. It's so racist. I mean, how can you know? Just because it's French, you don't like the French. I don't think we got a response to that, DK colleague. What's your problem with the French? I'm joking, obviously. There's no problem with the French. The French are awesome.
Very diplomatic.
So let me just dissect your answer first. She seems relatively normal, so that's why I'd marry her. So you're going for a stable, normal person who just happens to kick the shit out of people as a profession.
Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of normal, that's better.
And you'd shag Viper because she looks like pure filth.
So she's going to give you a real good time, right? That's your belief. And kill Cammy because beret. Okay. After my extensive research,
I did my own research. Yeah.
So I'm not a Street Fighter fan, but I vaguely know of Chun-Li and Cammy, but not Viper. So Viper, she looks a bit like a secret agent type. You know, she's got like the jacket and the shirt and tie and stuff. But
the like really huge cleavage.
Well, of course, you're a female character in a fighting game. You can't not have big old anime titties. So it's kind of it. So there was a satirical article about the whole Sekiro debate. It was I can't remember what the site was called, but they put up an article being like, Sekiro needs to respect its players and add big old anime titties. And it's like, I'm enjoying Sekiro, but I would have more fun if it had big old anime titties. And then they wrote their own counter article saying, no, it doesn't need big old anime titties. And I was wetting myself reading it.
That Cammy has got some strong legs, right? She's got muscular legs.
Thick thighs.
Yeah, she's got some big thighs. You've got to be careful.
See now you're in the rabbit hole of half-naked women.
I mean, it's a question. I mean, we wouldn't be providing a decent service to these patrons if we weren't doing good research into the questions. I mean, didn't really want to look at the consumer protection laws in the last question, but I'll do my proper research on this one.
Deep research.
There's only so much time in a day, guys.
Deep research, which is about as deep as Cammy's outfit is up her bloody arse. That's just impractical for fighting. You're going to be chafing. Like,
I mean, I don't know. A bit of what do you call it? Flossing happening there, right?
Wow.
Keep it nice and fresh down below.
Jesus Christ.
What was the other one? Chun-Li.
So my answer is so Shag, marry, kills the order, right? Yeah. Shag, Cammy. She's got the best thighs. She's got like a solid looking butt. And she because she's a soldier, right? With the beret. Yeah. I mean, the rest of the uniform doesn't leave much to the imagination.
Yeah, but she's an authoritarian type of,
she knows what she's doing and knows what she wants, and she'll give it to you.
Yeah, she's
well disciplined.
She's a disciplined girl with huge thighs.
Marry Chun-Li, yeah, I agree, because she is definitely the most normal, and she's meant to be like quite a traditional Chinese lady, isn't she, or something? So she's going to be a good companion, like a wife who will be there for you and stay with you, but she also kicks ass. Her high kick moves, they're all fucking... So if someone comes breaking into your house...
Yeah, it's not you that has to go downstairs.
I'll run get the bat before I'm even there. She's beating the shit out of them. And then, I reckon I'd kill Viper because she doesn't look very trustworthy. I don't know. And I have said in the past how I feel about redheads, but I'm just not feeling...
You're throwing that all out the window because you don't trust her.
Well, I mean, it's... She's dead.
I mean, she's not that fit either, let's be honest. I mean, Cammy, there's something about that that tooth floss outfit in there. And then there's Chun-Li, who's, she's got to be a household favourite.
She's iconic, right? Isn't she?
There you go.
She's.
I think we agree on this one.
She's got a rep. You go. She could get you into like good places. You go out for dinner with Chun-Li. She's like, I'm Chun-Li, and they'll find you a table at the restaurant. So
she's famous girlfriend. Right. Let's move on. Thanks for the question again, DK Collie.
Keep the sexism coming. Well, if people start getting annoyed, we'll have to do a blokes one, like Joel from Last of Us. Nate.
Who would you like to be your daddy? Would you like Joel to be your daddy?
Joel from Last of Us, Nate Drake from Uncharted, or Kratos from God of War?
Yeah.
Right, well, there you go. Let's do it.
I mean, let's leave that to the fans. I mean, that's not something I want to...
Kill Kratos, he's too unstable. Shag Joel, because I don't want to fucking marry him. And Nate, he's quite charming and funny, so I reckon I could live with Nate without killing him.
Let's rephrase Wise' question from early on.
Is it gay?
Is it gay to want to shag Joel?
I mean, he's...
To answer Joel in this question. Is this question even gay?
Yes.
Can we move on? I'm uncomfortable.
Am I not making things accessible for you? My language isn't accessible.
You've not only shamed yourself, you've shamed this whole podcast.
Oh, wow.
Okay, just read the next bloody question.
Okay, from Base Dog or Baze Dog. Do you know about Epic's Support a Creator program? I don't. Do you know about Epic's
Support a Creator program? I've had a quick read, and basically it incentivizes people to support their creators. So you can get like $5 for every 1,000 V-Bucks you spend sent to your creator. So if you buy 10,000 V-Bucks, a creator of your choice gets $5. And also, if you buy games or whatever from the Epic store, you a portion of that can go to creators as well, or creator of your choice. I think if I'm interpreting this properly, maybe I'll get corrected in the comments. But again, I think this is just another example of Epic supporting communities around gaming and supporting looking out for people outside of their own core business. Like we looked at them offering this grant in the past couple of weeks, where they were offering grants for not only games but
it's like education and all that.
Sorts of things, as well as the fact that they are offering 12%. I mean, people like to rag on Epic as and be cynical as possible because they don't like the Epic launcher for whatever reason, because they've got their Steam games and I want all my games on Steam. Thank you very much. I mean, people want to say that in order to support their argument, but at the same time, you can't ignore that Epic do have some really friendly types of policies, and they do some good things for communities. You think about, if you are a Fortnite player and you get a lot of your community to who do buy V-Bucks or whatever, buy games and can send you a few dollars over through this support a creator program, that could mean the difference between you paying the bills and not, because creating content online is not easy. It's not easy to pay the bills a lot of the time. I know firsthand, right? And anything that you can use in order to support you, like this, could mean the difference. And I promote it, and I always say that this is a good thing, regardless of how I feel, or whether it's good or bad about what they're doing on the exclusivity thing on the PC market. You've got to give people credit when it's due.
And stuff like this is so harmless because you're not paying any more as a consumer. When you buy your V-Bucks, it's still the same amount of V-Bucks you're paying for and you're getting.
Yeah.
It's just some of the money that would go just to Epic will then fizzle its way to your chosen creator.
Yeah, I like it.
Sounds good to me.
I like it. So the very last question from Tons, and you like this question. Dangerous Driving, which is the spiritual successor to Burnout, has chose to use Spotify instead of having music in the game. What do you guys think about this move? Me and my mates had a bit of a discussion. Personally, for racing and sports games, I think this is a great move. Let me put in my own music. So instead of having a soundtrack, you can, I'm guessing, just like would be on a radio in a car or whatever, just have your own music playing, your own playlists playing.
Because I first heard about this because the director spoke to Game Informer on a podcast, their video editor Ben Hansen interviewed him. It was a really interesting interview, and he said how they were gonna try and license songs, but that would have been really expensive to do, just for each individual song. Then they were like, oh well, maybe we can just write our own, but they won't be as good. So then they reached out to Spotify, and they were like, yeah, cool, let's do it. So I don't quite know how it works. Dangerous Driving is a game I'm thinking about getting because I really like Burnout. And it just seems like such a cool idea. And I think someone responded to that comment on the Discord. Yeah, Frozen Monkey saying, a bit like having a cassette deck in a car and putting a mixtape in. And I think that's a really good way to put it. Yeah, because you can put on your specific playlists or whatever.
Yeah, my question is, how does it work if you don't have Spotify? Is it just like you get access to Spotify anyway if you buy the game, or do you have to have a Spotify subscription?
I think you have to have a Spotify premium subscription as well, because otherwise you'll have all the ads and stuff.
Yeah, there's a question mark over that for me then. I mean, why?
Well, I think it does have its own music.
Oh, I see.
But I don't know for sure. Yeah. But I think it's all original, just generic background music. But if you want to have your own stuff in it, you can do that.
Yeah.
Well, because Burnout's known for having quite solid soundtracks. They're like proper, pop punk songs from the early 90s and late noughties. So you could just build a Burnout 3 playlist on Spotify and pull it in to play those exact same songs in the new one. I think it's a super good idea.
There you go. Options are always good. So that concludes our questions for this week. And like I said, we won't be here next week, but we'll be saving all the questions in the interim for the podcast the week after when I return from my sunning. And we're going to be having now to some YouTube comments.
Yes.
Have you
YouTube comments?
Have you got any?
I haven't got any ready, but I can go dig for some.
Have you got any? Right. I think I don't have any either. So this is going to be a great. Like how will we manage, guys?
We'll
Are we going to
freeball it? Let's see what happens.
Okay.
So I definitely saw some funny ones earlier, but I never screenshotted them or anything like that. So let's see what's going on.
I think I might have one. Let's have a look.
There's plenty of idiots in the comments, but there's also plenty of intelligent people who agree with what we say. So that's always nice.
Yeah, you're idiot if you disagree, and you're intelligent if you
damned fools. Okay. Now my blooming page isn't loading, so the comments aren't coming up.
Yeah.
This is making for a really solid segment.
Yeah, I'll while you keep looking, I'll just explain the videos that we published this week so far. So we, on Monday, actually since the last podcast was filmed, we published the Bethesda Lies Exposed clickbait video. Bethesda Exposed. That was with regard to them going back on their policy to not have game influencing microtransactions in the atomic shop, whatever you call it. So they've gone back on that, and they're trying to sell people and trying to slip under the carpet that they're offering non-cosmetic items on the store now, which is a bit shit. So that was that video. Also, we published the Division 2 update has players divided. Get it? Division 2 had players divided.
Yeah, we all got it.
You all got that. There was that video. And then the one we published yesterday, as of the time of recording, because we're recording this on Thursday, is how one millionaire plans to create a real-life battle royale. And on that topic, I've got one comment. He says, not really a real-life battle royale. It's one of those, well, actually, such lazy clickbait. Should have just put, guy wants to set up airsoft match with prize money. People do this all the time. First one of your vids I disliked. Come on, guys. I know you're better than this. Well, we're not. We're not better than this. We are subject to the YouTube algorithms just like everybody else. And in order for us to grow as a channel, to attract viewers, we have to try and entice people into our videos, right? That's what everyone else does on YouTube. And in order to do that, sometimes we have to have just play on words a little bit, right? It's our interpretation of this situation, saying that it's a real-life battle royale, okay? Well, you could say it's a real-life battle royale. It's just airsoft. Actually, it's your interpretation. That's up to you, okay? Don't come here saying it's clickbait where it's just our interpretation. It might well be clickbait. If that's the case, we're doing it for very specific reason because we don't want to die. We do not want to die. And like self-preservation is our primary motivation. Like what gets into people's heads is they don't understand how this whole thing works. I could keep ranting. I'm not going to. But as far as you're concerned, just don't click the video. Just if you don't like this way of publication, they just go somewhere else. You'll find that everybody's exactly the same on YouTube.
In the grand scheme of clickbait, it's nowhere near as bad as some.
Oh, we've been worse.
Yeah, like
we've got a lot worse.
When it's been like, you'll never guess what they've done now with a girl who isn't featured in the video putting her boobs on, because everyone knows boobs sell.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked before. What was ages ago? How I should wear a bikini or something. Do you remember that? You put up a really quite ridiculous picture. It was ages ago. I can't remember.
Yeah, I like superimposed your face on some
PGG
Instagram
booty shorts or something. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, there you go. I think unfortunately, whenever people don't agree with the video, don't agree with anything that we say, or just raise a little exception to the way that we've presented the video, because the content of the video never changes no matter what we put on the thumbnail or the title, right? That comes after. We make the video and then we title thumbnail for the most amount of engagement or most amount of clicks. Unfortunately, people will, if they don't like anything or raise exceptions to anything in the video or in the thumbnail title, they'll just say it's clickbait. And that's just the easy way to, this is just clickbait. Well, actually, no, it's not. It's not just clickbait. It's a very thought out and very well produced video that just happens to have one method, or the clickbait method of trying to get you into the clickbaity, I should say. It's not proper clickbait, but it's one strategy to try and get you to watch the video in the first place. If you don't like the content, then you don't have to come back. But in order for you to watch the video, we have to try and attract you.
Newspapers have headlines. That's exactly what clickbait is. Well, not even clickbait. The thumbnail and the video title is a headline.
Yeah.
Do you accuse newspapers of clickbait when they're like, man kills wife? Because it's not inaccurate. It's not a lie. It's not untrue. I feel like it's clickbait when it's like the bait and switch, when it's something that's nothing to do with it, and then you talk about something else.
Yeah. What I don't like is when you click on something expecting when we're expecting a certain amount of coverage of one specific thing, especially on like news articles where it's like, you'll never guess what this person said about that, and then like halfway down towards the end of the article they'll mention the very specific one thing, and it's like
it's catching you up for ages.
The most of it is just like fluff or padding or whatever. It's like, come on, God almighty. Anyway, moving on. It's just nature of the internet that it is these days. In order for us to stay getting views and stay attracting viewers and subscribers, we have to attract people. And if that means clicking, getting people using a moderate amount or a reasonable amount of clickbait, that's what we'll do. I mean, it's self-preservation, like I said.
Yeah.
Have you got one?
Yeah, I'll go on. This is on last week's podcast, I think. Let's just double check. Yep, last week's podcast. And now I've lost the comment. There it is. From Ricardo J. Masturbating is always good. The best thing we can always do with each other as a community. Better when more people join in. That's on his pun about mass debating and masturbating.
Gotcha.
And thing is, mass debating is good when more people are involved. And an argument could be made that masturbating is good when more people are involved. I'm not entirely sure I'm with you, Ricardo J. But whatever you do, go for it, bro.
I mean, some things are best left to yourself.
Yeah. It's a solo activity.
Endeavor. Okay.
Single-player games, man.
Okay, Division 2 update has players divided video. William Webb has commented, too much smoothing. Jesus, you look like an out-of-focus photo of Bigfoot. Well. It's like, I am smoothing. Did you use any smoothing effects on that one?
I didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything to it. It's just our shitty camera, man. Yeah, I mean, if you're watching us on a 4K TV, we will look like shit because we're recording on a 1080p camera, and then it gets uploaded to YouTube, and then it's gone through all the compression or whatever, and we're just going to look like shit. All right, the background looks pretty high res because it's a high res picture. We don't use shitty res pictures. If you're looking at your phone, you won't tell a difference. It won't be a huge. If you're watching on your TV, I mean, I can't afford a 4K camera. Buy me a 4K camera for fuck's sake, and then complain that we've smoothed it up. Well, you won't be able to complain because we'll be in 4K.
Your videos aren't accessible because I can't watch them in 4K.
Next comments. Let's wrap this up pretty soon. We're getting to the last few comments now.
So I got one on our Millionaire Battle Royale thing, and this one made me think, like if they did this, they'd be mental. This is from Methylance. One of the E's is a 3, so they're hip. In before Fallen Order is bringing families together on mobile. Don't you all have phones? Imagine. Yeah. Just imagine if Fallen Order was a bloody mobile game.
It's a good question because, and unfortunately, by the time this video gets published to YouTube, you will know what a Fallen Order is because this goes out on Sunday. However, Fallen Order gets announced and we get to see it on Saturday. This goes out to the patrons tomorrow, which is Friday, for early access. So at current time of recording, we don't know what Fallen Order is, but yeah, they can't be that bad. It can't be. Yeah, it can't be. Yeah, I mean, surely they've got more sense than that.
There's a bit of talk as well about if they've been forced to use Frostbite because now everyone knows what problems that has caused in the past.
Apex didn't, though, did it?
No, Apex didn't exactly.
Apex didn't
because it's Respawn. They use their own stuff. But did EA mandate Fallen Order using it? And if it's a first-person game, it's probably going to be okay. But if it's not, it's going to have a lot of struggles. So we don't know.
Yes.
You probably know.
You already know.
Let us know. Tell us in the comments
how it turned out. And I've got one more comment all lined up here. It says, on the Division 2 has players divided video. Matthew Dodd says, That time you anthem it up so bad, your game becomes a noun.
Yeah. I like that one.
Yeah. Yes, they anthemed it up. No Man's Sky used to be a noun, but unfortunately they fixed it up so well that No Man's Sky can now be synonymous with games as a service done right.
Yeah, eventually.
They redeemed themselves they've redeemed themselves so much. They've gone from being a laughing stock, like No Man's Sky releasing, which meant releasing early and causing controversy by lying about your games to get sales, all the way to what No Man's Sky means now is providing games as a service, like with zero added extra, paid for expansions and anything like that, and just adding loads of new features and gameplay on a consistent basis, free of charge, and no microtransactions. Number one, baby. I mean, say what you want about the launch of No Man's Sky, but Sean Murray is becoming a little bit of a hero of mine.
Oh yeah, like imagine
he made a mistake and he redeemed himself. That's the reason why Groundhog Day is one of my favorite. It's my favorite film ever. Bill Murray, Sean Murray. See, it makes sense.
Well,
Bill Murray is a total sleazebag to begin with. He realizes he can use his powers to help people's lives, and he ends up getting the girl, despite the fact that he's a total scumbag, and he's doing it because he likes being good, right? And he learns it, and he goes through this whole character progression, and he comes out the other side not wanting to just sleep with her for the sake of it, but just being with her, and then she falls in love with him because he's a good guy in his core, and eventually he gets rewarded for that with he gets the banger.
Yeah, and
that'll be a lesson to you all. You want to bang the girl, don't go out to try and bang her. Just learn to play the piano a little bit. Be a musician.
Live in a time loop for about 1,000 years.
Live in a time loop.
That's the thing. When he eventually gets out of the time loop, he still has all the skills he learned, because he learned to play the piano really well and some other stuff. Like he came out of it not only with a moral lesson, he was a better at everything.
It's the key to getting the girl is being a musician, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm so far behind. I'm falling back.
Be a musician. I'm just joking, obviously, but yeah, I like that. I like that someone can redeem themselves to a whole different level, and I think that Sean Murray is getting to that point now where you've just got to commend the guy for the process he's gone through.
For him to rally his team after everything, because everyone at Hello Games must have felt like shit, man, we get so much bad press, this sucks, and he's gonna have to step in and be like, right, people have said this, we're gonna make it fine. He has got everyone on the same page, like, no, we can fix this, and it'll be really good, believe in me, and we'll
and some people might think that I'm being hypocritical by saying that, because we were very scathing of No Man's Sky when it released, and we were one of the biggest critics here on YouTube, saying that this is just bad and whatever. But I don't think that criticism holds any weight if you criticize no matter what, and I think you should always give credit where it's due. And if somebody does do something good, although they might do shitty things too, there's always the conflict inside everyone. One of the reasons why I like Game of Thrones, by the way, all the characters are conflicted. There's always good side and bad sides of everyone, right? Some people can do bad but end up doing good. You should always commend them for doing the good as well as criticize them doing the bad. If you just criticize them just because they've done bad, regardless of what they do good, then your criticism doesn't hold weight, right?
Yeah.
In order for us to be genuine with our criticism, we also have to be genuine with our crediting people.
Praise.
That's just the way I feel about it. And you can say that I'm a hypocrite all you like. I still think what they did at launch was wrong, but I also think that what they're doing right now is the best games as a service game out there. No microtransactions, free updates, and they're supporting the game into the future. You might have bought it for £10 recently, and you get all of that, and it's a great value for money. Anyway.
Well, I've got a person here who doesn't think as strongly of you. Hawklord666 on last week's podcast. Ha ha ha, Gareth giving us the classic Ramona spiel.
Ramona?
I don't really know where this is coming from.
Ramona? What's the Ramona spiel?
You're a Remainer, as in Brexit, but you moan.
Oh, right.
saying you changed your mind isn't an excuse for lying 2 weeks ago, lol. You guys are getting more mainstream every week with your justifying underhand practices by massive megacorps. And then an emoji, which I can't really understand.
I mean, he's more than entitled to his opinion. And if he thinks that we are
so the Ramona thing,
justifying underhand practices, then he's determined what Epic are doing as underhand practices, right? That's his conclusion. Just because we don't conclude the same thing doesn't mean that we're justifying it, because the whole premise of our argument is that Epic aren't necessarily undermining
underhand practices.
Participating in underhand practices. I mean, if that's your interpretation of it, more power to you. But we just call things as we see them, right?
I'm pretty sure we didn't fall down on either side saying it was definitely lying or it wasn't. We just, floated the idea that it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah. I don't know. I think...
But we're Epic Store apologists and sympathizers, right? That's what everyone accuses. We're shills.
I mean, we're not as outraged as the general mass of outspoken people on Twitter and YouTube, if that makes us apologists because we're not in the same boat as them.
That's fine.
I mean, if that's how you want to deem us, that is fine.
You bloody Ramona.
Saying you change your mind is an excuse. Well, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get how people are so set in their ways that they can never accept that maybe they don't know it all. Maybe that, there's one of the worst things, right, is when someone comes into their comments and says how it is, this is exactly how it is, and has no room in their minds for how it could be. And they've already decided, judge and jury, this is how it is. There's no possible way they could have changed their minds. They are lying because it fits your agenda. Dude, come on. This isn't the channel for you if that's the way you think, because we're kind of, analytical here. We tend to look at things from both perspectives and then make our mind up based on the rationale and the arguments for both sides. We don't just come in and decide beforehand whether we like something or not and then just criticize it for that. So, if it's a lesson to you, if there's anything that you should take away from this, is that if you're not interested in critical analysis, then maybe this isn't the channel for you, dude. But on that note, I think we should end the podcast because it's gone on longer than we expected. And
we had loads of questions though, good questions.
Yeah, and it is past our lunchtime, and it's
time to get some eats.
Lunch. So, like I said, guys, we will not be back for the podcast next week, and also, since this is going out on Tuesday to everybody else, if you've sat through the whole podcast, then you're the only one who's going to know. But next week's news roundup videos will be off the table since Henry can't do them on his own. Because that would
could, but they'd be crap.
That'd be pretty boring, right?
You might try one.
It wouldn't be the same, would it?
Is this all about this quote unquote chemistry that we got over here?
Yeah, we'll see. There'll be content next week, but we don't know exactly. We don't know exactly what form it will take. So bear that in mind. It'll be a week long. It's
going to be a week of React videos. Going to be reacting to non-gaming stuff.
Yeah. So the schedule is temporarily put on hold for a week until I come back, and then you'll see it'll all be worth it once I look a little bit less gaunt.
A little bit of colour to you.
In my cheeks.
Exotic tan. And but then I'll look really pale, so there'll be a real big disparity.
You want to get out more, don't you?
I don't want to go nowhere.
It's sunny out there.
Yeah, but it's North Wales sun though, isn't it?
That's true.
It's not as good as Spanish Mediterranean sun.
No, that's certainly true. That's it's not Mediterranean, it's the Canaries.
Is that not in the Mediterranean? I'm learning.
No. Mediterranean is like...
is it in the Caribbean?
No, man. It's off the coast of Africa, isn't it? North Africa.
I see. I don't know.
So it's the Atlantic Ocean.
Is it?
Yeah. The Mediterranean is inside of the...
Yes.
That's where Ibiza and Mallorca and that is.
Gotcha. Education.
There you go.
You can deal with the
Geography 101 with PGG. So yeah, I will see you guys week after next. You will see Henry at some point next week with
You
whatever
might not
Kenton.
see me.
Yeah,
I might just
You
do
might be
some
on screen.
VOs.
Yeah.
I haven't decided yet.
Anyway, we will be back whenever we're back. I hope you enjoy the podcast, guys. And until next time, whenever that might be, bye for now.